27. California, this March of 2024, is on its way to 12 feet of new snowpack and monstrous coastal rains, in wild contrast to year in and year out regular rain decline, and most recent winter's snows too sparse for skiing or spring melt enough for thirsty crops. This year, some drought areas will be relieved for a while. Water managers have worked for several years to capture occasional giant Sky River floodwater for ever-returning, worsening drought relief. They have enlisted funds and labor to fashion huge dirt fields, bowl-shaped to flood into shallow lakes for draining down to underground storage. Ultimately, they plan to make this water available to supply 100,000 people for a full year's personal and commercial supply. Unfortunately, when Lakes Mead and Powell soon go dry, 30 million will be screaming for 100% replacement of their faucet flow suddenly, spit and dust. The mud bowl geniuses might say, "We got this," but for only 1/300th of the life or death rescue. Only your demand for 100% of possible massive offshore ocean steam collection and rare raging river piping fast to every old and also brand new deep lake could rescue not 1/3 of 1%, but 100% of California folks' 8 glasses a day of life. You don't live in California? Then I'll give you 2 choices. 1, be quiet and wait for death. Or 2, raise hell worldwide for new national and treaty drinking water. Our leaders stay way too busy emptying our treasuries, enriching and empowering themselves and their tax fortune hunter cronies, to have a single thought, dollar, and action left over to reverse new human emergencies of their damn making, doing all. Is this my original lesson? Hell no, I just grabbed Thomas Jefferson's truth and demand of you. He declared that we, the people, must act to alter every government that will grow deadly. Then only our major repairs can restore our safety and happiness, human rights. Is not private to public money fast finishing destruction of people and planet? So we, privates, had better even faster make our public generals offers they can't refuse, loving laws and programs to save all possible. This being our own family's life preservation. Why am I, the lonely loudmouth, paying attention to exploding world disaster, shouting the logical, reverse horrific cause and effect solutions just before nuclear winter freezes our last bottles of water? My arguments and proposals are drawn from terrifying, catastrophic ancient and modern history mandating opposite human need law and action to save, not destroy all. Yet don't my actual prescriptions strike you as newer than proven and untested, much less developed and built? Well, thanks again to NPR. I've got some good news on water source development that ought to fire your hope and intention to immediately begin converting, legally, all of government's motives and actions from dirty money to clean, highly powerful love. Switch my 9-word title to 1, help, to replace public harm. Fire armies, hire families. I'll report to you about new American rain collection projects, major actions already taken by citizens, and indeed a new government program in drought-devastated Arizona. They interviewed a Tucson resident who has designed and now continues to manufacture and sell a rain collection system to divert home roof gutters into 1,000-gallon water storage tanks, bypassing and replacing a major fraction of municipal water use. Simple faucet filters then render the already clean rainwater perfectly drinkable. Tucson city government is delighted to pay homeowners $1 for every captured gallon not demanded from the dying Colorado River and doomed Lakes Mead and Powell. While this brilliant entrepreneur, not to mention humanity's savior, commented that even citywide installation of his system might only meet 10% of residents' and businesses' water needs, he has observed many of his tanks retaining good reserve levels between this year's January and June, despite the rain total of 1 inch. He said, "My goal is for rain collection to become our primary source, leaving endangered water bodies as the far less used, more stable reserves." However, his goal, and humanity's too, will only crash and burn without the force of your laws and money, plus your fight for ocean, hurricane, and other coastal floodwater collection and universal delivery, all mandated by international, national, and local law, funding, and infrastructure. The interviewed businessman noted that Australian law and programs expand nationwide rain collection, always prepared to take advantage of floods, not just ever-diminishing light precipitation. Another Arizona resident has been violating city ordinances by building channels off of sewer drains into his new collection tanks. In response to another brilliant innovation I did not originate, his city's rules monitors wisely decided, hands off, thumbs up. I want you to enforce some laws and make new ones to get governments to save us, not kill us. Aren't rules enforced against harming others or yourself how private parents raise, not destroy children? We call this uncompromising love, care, and control family government. In 10,000 years, our public governments have barely edged away from total anarchy, from staking out non-blood relative citizens and, of course, foreigners as prey to use, subjugate, and kill, not equals to love and protect. Our leaders are the out-of-control children playing with trillions of dollars, thousands of megatons, and a wealth of tax-stealing corporations. They are like teenagers battering the grade schoolers with impunity and ripping off our future nest eggs to party with today. So who then are the actual assigned parents, always abdicating their Constitution-assigned self-government democratic responsibility, also ignoring our burning need to repair government away from harm and back to assuring help for safety, as Jefferson taught us? Obviously by stopping private corruption of no longer servants of us, the public. You, the nation's true leaders, that our Constitution directs us to self-govern, especially by controlling the powerful leaders whose hands are plunged to the elbows into our dollars, not to mention horrible, unnecessary weapons. Incredibly good laws most never thought of must high-fence them away from weaponeers and executives warring without congressional declaration, and stop them from appropriating our funds for their environment-wrecking, bribing cronies. Your lawsuits must stress every word of our constitutions and note every horrific, powerful abuse and bad law disobeying our founders' equality, peace, and general welfare rules. Each rescue 1,000% opposed to special fat cat welfare, always busy robbing, raping, and soon killing the rest of us. Today, many of the most powerful, therefore dangerous governments are, with respect to militarism and public crisis exacerbation and neglect, totally out of control brats urgently needing firm, indeed rock solid, I said mandatory parental structure and strictures. These big fat bosses with no place in any democracy always dominate and boss you with their neglectful, corrupt, violent allegiance to their bribing, private fat cat bosses. Finally, to threaten every life. Well, isn't this exactly when Thomas Jefferson ordered us to renew governing, limiting them, our abusers, no longer helpers, private thieves of our treasury and safety, no longer public servants? He directs us in dangerous crises to renew our self-government alterations, reforms, and repairs by new or just existing enforced law to save us. Doesn't my every word just plagiarize and also encourage your declaration of independence from public harm by stopping it for replacement with your help? Stop ignoring. Lead us. Our elected brats, I mean children, are setting the house on fire. Before they kill us all, crack your legal love and rescue whips, Mom and Dad. Demand that our American legislators slash their close to $1 trillion a year murder money to afford 1,000 CO2 scrubber factories that would then only fail if we don't capture and pipe enough fresh ocean steam and coastal floodwater to save forests about to die, doubling stratosphere CO2 and scorching regular rain and lakes totally gone. Instead, cover every irrigated mile with 1 trillion new trees to suck in and down every CO2 molecule that we now blow out and up at our 2024 emissions peak. And have I told you that conversion to regenerative farming worldwide has that full CO2 swallowing potential also? Demand foundation research, file lawsuits, force legislation, and make world treaty law. If inspired volunteerism could save the world, then why has 50 years of it not accomplished 1% of the job? Rules, Jules. So why have precious few citizens and non-representatives even begun any attempt to begin pounding the public subhuman race's murderous swords into life-saving plowshares, thousands of years after God ordered us to? I'll tell you why. Because you and I still need a few more days or maybe decades to stroke our chins and muse, should we finally demand of our humanity caretakers humanity? And who are fatally responsible? The soiled senators or you and me? And just when might we finally arrange and require loving action to replace other people should, but nobody will? Do you need a push from the hammiest British thespian ringing Shakespeare off the rafters? To be or not to be? That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms, loving legal arms, against a sea of troubles, and by opposing, end them. We must design our treaty to fully replace, no, 1,000 times improve the ununited nations, structurally designed with an insecurity council and toothless General Assembly to only preserve 100% of national, commercial, military genocide power against individual and collective human survival, much less well-being. You replace that public care surrender and sabotage with our united families. That border defenses only, murder dollars to massive rescue treaty that you must first negotiate the details and tenets of on your personal computer with everyone everywhere, then pound it public, judicial, congressional, executive, financial, industrial, environmental, signed, ratified, and made close to universal with your voters' education and persuasion action campaign that scares and forces almost every crooked leader straight, just until we bounce all the damn takers with our people's new caretakers. Just as they keep doing through our last frickin' minute, our leerless feeders have exercised for 10,000 years their corrupted, coerced drive to use, abuse, and kill, not serve, protect, and help us. So should we accuse and blame those manipulated, rewarded, instinctual, habituated pawns? Or their bribing, tax fortune hunting business masters for naturally or genetically jumping on the absolute total power that we painstaking family lovers but neglectful public ignoramuses stupidly gave them? Or let them scheme to usurp without our knowledgeable, life-saving fight back? Sure, a minority of whiners do notice and worry about their deadly misbehavior, even including the conspiring political business complex. But then all these concerned citizens still only throw up their hands to leave every dirty boy his genocidal toys. Well, finally we come face to face then with the responsible for our terminal mess party, us, with all the life over death power, motive, and numbers, just until this last minute no damn inclination to become public protectors, if persuaded for this single rescue of our own selves and loved ones. That's right. Grab that mirror, haul in a giant breath, and shout, "Who dat?" You and I must act now and never stop to keep our loved ones from dying, most not quickly and mercifully, but agonized, slowly and sadly, decades early. First, right now, we must fully learn, plan, and act away from horrible old and new history to not repeat it 1,000 times worse. In 1931, Joseph Stalin destroyed the great Ukrainian grain farming breadbasket with a brutal, bumbling collective takeover. The resulting 1932 and 1933 crop catastrophes left the people eating grass and roots. Fully 3 million without milk cows or charity bread deliveries starved to death. Today, farms keeping billions, not millions alive, are failing worldwide. Permanent drought ever increasingly killing our food animals and plants. Thousands of municipalities and more rural areas' water supplies are not decades, but years, even months away from dwindling below factory, field, and human survival needs. 2/3 of humanity is short of water today. 99% of leaders only plan to beg for some other region's non-existent surplus. My friends, you may reject, abandon, and eschew our full survival program only for one other totally deadly, insane choice: extended suffering and death. When most all of us could instead live long and prosper like Mr. Spock. Now, I cannot wrap this up until we break down to build up disarmament law, which does not yet exist on planet Earth because everyone totally ignores all of our constitutions, which demand people's choice of war or peace and optimum defenses against invasion, obviously including reversal, then elimination of commercial death dealers' world arms races. Clearly, each nation's and each citizen's duty to originate or help to spark national action and international treaty disarmament. World war supply can only be halted by legal, physical world control, reduction, then elimination, in no way diminishing powerful, peaceful sovereignty. Certainly also not harmed by treaty cooperation and help to reduce CO2 and increase water and food supply. Then your national and local law and program actions are certainly the other side of our whole world coin that buys us all life. Let's discuss a current example of good constitutional defense against invasion, even while America pokes our nose and explosives into a foreign war. Our Congress has voted for anti-missile and drone defenses for Ukraine, and we'd better increase them fast to knock down Russia's savage barrage of its victims' wintertime power and water infrastructure, to keep hundreds of thousands from freezing and thirsting to death. This, the humane opposite of virtually all other weapons sellers' World War supply, is valid defense chosen by our representatives, even if of our international friends, not American citizens under attack. But the tragically opposite Ukrainian offensive empowerment, the American Congress and military must not send, as it would send 4,000 Russian nuclear missiles back on your head and nuclear winter ice on everybody's. Decades of governments gifting private weaponeers and vice versa entirely created World Wars I, II, and soon III, not to mention the hundreds of wars in between. You would struggle to name more than a few of those wars legally, constitutionally declared by our people's Congresses, while every corrupt body still always voted private weapons contracts for 50 million murders. World War II, causing another 50 million war killings, Congress did declare, but then still abdicated supervision to prevent its mostly civilian terror bombing slaughters. Crystal clear illegal war crimes, every one. War is weapons, specifically private death merchants who bribe government men and women to buy them and also permit their foreign export sales directly to national and regional buyers and combatants. The vast majority of those wars are chosen and fought illegally by executive military dictators in the absence of people's congressional declarations of war. We, the voting people, virtually never direct our leaders to attack other nations or fuel foreign armies' attacks on others or build world genocide arsenals to also doom our defenseless against intercontinental 18,000-mile-an-hour nuclear missiles selves. Yet we still invite all of our deaths by failing to take one crucial measure of self-defense, simply totally outlawing the private bribery of our public leaders to deploy utterly unconstitutional aggression unto extinction soon, merely for their temporary profits now. You stop greed selling savagery. Both our lawsuits and treaty, plus national legislation, must feature the hardly negotiable demand that every single weapon of war may not be deployed for use without a people's declaration of war. Only valid in clear cases of national defense, never for unprovoked foreign aggression. Drain war's engine of death dealer weapons fuel. I told you cause and effect. So what do? Stop the damn cause. By court lawsuit and leader pressure and leader change, and with your own negotiations, enforce our nuclear non-proliferation treaty that outlaws all nuclear weapons and orders us to tackle conventional weaponeering and arsenals also. Also, by renegotiation, legally enhance this poorly detailed or scheduled or enforced treaty. Next, negotiate and promote its shoulder-standing offspring, the Border Defenses Only Treaty. You must everywhere negotiate and legislate all war weapons, production, sales, and deployment down, down, down. Going, gone. Such world peace and survival government of the people still leaves all kinds of free enterprise and national sovereignty fully intact, with only 3 exceptions. Unfettered power to attack and kill billions, or to wreck our survival environment, or failure to act worldwide to sustain and increase everyone's water and food supply. Let's discuss thousands of national, indeed worldwide, congressional votes to buy vast excesses of foreign soldier killing plus vast multiples of civilian slaughter exploding weapons. Not one of 1,000 such appropriations came from population majorities pressing their representatives to explode world war, plus the inevitable counterattacks upon our homeland. Over 999 of each 1,000 war votes, cleverly, if illegally, avoiding the actual war declarations that would get the bozos voted out, when each war always wrecked many of our lives, not just foreign enemies. Such votes were taken by paid pawns of weaponeers, privately funding their patriotic lie election campaigns to indoctrinate our stupid votes to re-elect our very own thieves and destroyers of us. Thus, the 0.1% bribers, lobbyists, lie to us 99.9% fools that we live in democracies, not commercial military dictatorships. This especially describes the biggest 50 military powers who forced the other 145 to jack excessive, expensive, but fruitless military defenses, now ruining everyone's need for every dollar to save us, not kill us.